What's going on? It's Stranger and welcome to another YouTube music production video where my mission is to help you succeed in making music. And today we're going to be learning a popular one. We're going to be making the bass in LSB's Potshot. And this is actually a popular sound in jungle drum and bass. It's pretty much a distorted 808. So if you haven't seen my 808 video, check it out. I show you how to do it in 5 different synths. Comment down below and let me know what is your favorite 808 track. And as always, hit the like and subscribe button. It really helps me because it hits the algorithm so my channel can grow. And if we can get it up to 1,000 likes, then I'll give you guys the project for free. So make sure you hit the subscribe button so you can stay updated on more videos and more giveaways. So without further ado, let's get right into it. So before we get started, I just want to play the end result for you guys so you can get an idea of how this should sound. And also pay attention to how the waveform looks like. Notice the convex shape of the waveform. So keep that in mind when we're shaping the sound. Also notice the end of the sound where it almost starts to get decimated. You might only hear this with the headphones. However, this is a replication of the old school sound when we used to record the 808 at a lower bit rate. So when we would distort the 808, it would bring out those digital artifacts. So you would get that noise at the end. Okay, so we're going to be doing this with Serum, and the first thing to do is set the oscillator to a sine wave so you get that pure bass sound. And the next thing we're going to do is apply some pitch modulation because the 808 doesn't play a straight tone. It kind of has a pitched bend to it. So in the modulation matrix, I'm going to set envelope 1 to the global master tune, and I'm going to set the amount to 2 semitones. So we're actually using the amplitude envelope to modulate the pitch, and we're going to bring the sustain all the way down. The reason why we're using the amplitude envelope is that the shape of the 808 kind of decays, so we're using the same envelope to modulate the pitch and the volume. And we're going to set the decay anywhere between 2 to 3 seconds. The reason why I say this is because at 170 beats per minute, 2 bars is around 2.8 seconds. So anywhere between 2 to 3 seconds should work for this sound. And I like to add a bit of hold, about 100 milliseconds. This just ensures that the note plays at the maximum volume for 100 milliseconds before it decays. So you get a bit of that full tone. So notice the shape of our 808 is coming along. Okay, the next step is we're going to add some distortion to the 808. And particularly, I like the decapitator effect. And I'm going to set it to the punish mode so it distorts the entire signal. I set the drive to around 3. Now, if you don't have decapitator, you can use saturator or any of the other distortion effects in Ableton. However, I find that the decapitator gives the best result in terms of distorting the 808. So if you're using saturator, you can just set the drive up. And you may want to adjust the bass parameter, which indicates how the saturator affects the lower frequencies. However, I'm just going to stick with decapitator. Now I'm going to add a second layer of distortion. I'm going to use dynamic tube from Ableton, and I'm just going to turn drive up and bring the tone up so that affects the character of the distortion. And you can increase the output if you like. Now the sound we're getting is pretty clean. However, to get that old school sounding distorted 808, you want to add some grit to it. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add some bit reduction. So I'm going to look for Ableton's redux plugin, and I'm going to pull it right before the distortion. And I'm going to turn on the bit reduction mode and bring the bit rate down to between 10 to 12, I find works. So notice how the end of the 808 starts to break up, and that's because of the bit reduction in combination with the distortion. Now for added grit, we can apply some noise to the 808. So I'm going to bring back Serum, and I'm going to enable the noise generator. And then I'm going to apply envelope 1 to the noise level. Now I'm going to set the modulation amount to a negative value. So click and drag down on the horseshoe icon until it goes negative. And we want to bring it all the way down here. So what that does is that the noise starts at 0 volume, and as it reaches the end of the envelope, that's when the noise gradually comes up. So that adds some additional grit, and you can adjust this to taste. If you want more noise, then just turn the knob clockwise. You may have to bring the amount further down. So finally, to get this sound right, you got to add a bit of reverb to it. Now, I'm liking Arteria's reverb unit. However, you can just use Ableton's stock reverb. Just remember to apply a high pass to the reverb so the bottom end doesn't get reverbed. Otherwise, your signal is going to sound muddy. Now, if you want to take this to a more advanced level and get a cleaner bass tone, you can move the effects to an audio effects rack, so you can have one chain dedicated to the top end and another chain dedicated to the bottom end. So to do that, you pull in the audio effect rack right before all the effects. Now select all the effects and then drag it into the audio effect rack. And then just open up the audio effect rack. We're going to name this top end. Right click and add another chain, and we're going to call this bottom end. So the bottom rack has no effects, it's just the bass tone. And the top end is where all the effects is. Now we're going to have to apply a high pass EQ to the top end to remove all the bass. So anywhere between 100 to 200 Hertz to get rid of that bottom end. That's our top end, and then we're going to bring the bass up. And then you can increase the bass level if you want. So the bottom end, you can increase the gain. So that gives you a cleaner bass tone. It's really up to you on how you want to design the sound. There's nothing wrong with doing it a little more old school. It's a personal preference. Now going back into Serum, I want you guys to pay attention to the slope of the decay curve. And notice how we can shape the character of the sound by adjusting the slope of the decay. And we'll start convex like this. And then we'll bring it down. And bring it further down. And down. So as the slope becomes more steep and concave, you get a tighter sound. And as you make the slope more convex, then you get a longer tone. The tighter sound could be used for more faster bass rhythms and for longer notes, than you would bring the slope up a bit. And this is a useful tool to really shape the 808 based on your creative preference, and it depends on the track you're creating. So I encourage you guys to try this out. Alright, so for those without Serum, you can try it with Analog. Just turn off oscillator 2, set the shape to a sine wave. Now under pitch envelope initial, we're going to bring that up. Now we had to play it by ear as it doesn't tell us the exact note, as well as the timing. That's how long the decay goes for. Now I'm just going to bring in my effects chain. Now that we have the distortion on, we can fine tune the sound. So we're setting the decay time of the pitch envelope around 70%. And then pitch envelope is around 40 to 50% pitch. And then go into the amplitude section, and we're going to set the decay around 2.8 seconds. Now with the analog, the distortion settings might be different. You might have to increase the drive to really hear that signal. So my drive is up at 7. if you're using the saturator, then you can bring that up. So that's pretty much the basic sound. And once you have the sound, you can start writing some notes. So I have the Potshot melody here. It's just a 4-bar melody with one long note playing F, and then you have a couple other notes playing at the end. However, I encourage you guys to experiment and write your own bass line. For example, I have a couple others here. And of course, if you want to make some straight up jungle, then just bring an aim in and play the 808 with it. Now, if you want to really go funky with the sound, then you can add some filter modulation to the sound and go really wild. So the point is, the sound design doesn't have to end here. You can take it to the next level, and do encourage you guys to try and experiment and make this into something new. So that's pretty much it, guys. It's a pretty basic sound. Once again, you're using a sine wave and you're applying some pitch modulation and amplitude modulation with the same envelope, and the key is setting the decay length around 2 to 3 seconds, and then of course adding some grit to that sound so you get that old school distortion. So adding some bit reduction and then going hard on the distortion to really make that sound pound. So I hope this video helped. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and if it did, make sure you like, subscribe, and share the video. So that's pretty much it for today, guys. Thanks again for watching. Keep practicing, and I'll see you at the next video.